This is Lisa from MobileTechReview, and it's Smackdown time between tablets in the 12 to 13 inch size category. We have one from Android, one from iPad OS, and one from Windows, which means the Microsoft Surface Pro 8, the iPad Pro 12.9 inch with the M1 processor inside, and the new kid on the block, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Plus. We are going to smack them down now. So obviously there's a whole mobile OS versus desktop OS kind of discussion that's been done years and years and years going on, right? I mean, I've done enough of those. Well, I will cover that topic as well, but I think most people are kind of familiar with the trade-offs and the benefits of going with either of those two kinds of operating systems. So let's talk about price first. The new Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Plus starts at $899, which is pretty much the same starting point as Surface Pro 8. That's with a Core i5, 8 gigs of RAM, and 128 gig SSD. So, you know, a lot of people want more of a configuration than an i7, 16 gigs of RAM, more storage. So, you can go way up from there. Typically, the mid-range ones are $1,500, $1,600, and you can go up over $2,000 with those. But the starting price remains the same, and you're looking at the same 128 gig storage on all of these tablets for the prices I'm quoting. And the iPad Pro 12.9 inch with the M1 processor is the most expensive to start with. It is $1,099, again with 128 gigs of storage. And the pricing for these is all with Wi-Fi only. Now, connectivity is something else that comes in. But let's talk about the keyboards, because it's possible that you're buying these just to watch Netflix on them, but maybe you're probably buying them for something more, since you're getting a bigger screen and something that can be used for productivity and all that sort of thing. So Microsoft's keyboard starts at $180. There's a fancier model that comes with a pen for $279. Apple's keyboard starts at $200, and then there's the fancier Magic Keyboard that's even more money, $300, and Samsung's starts at $160, and then there's the more deluxe with the trackpad model that's $230. So ballparky, but again, overall, again, Apple's going to be kind of the more expensive option there for the keyboards too. When it comes to pens, only the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Plus actually comes with the pen in the box. None of them have a silo to insert the pen, so you will be carrying it separately, and they use a magnetic style attachment to hold it onto the body of the tablet. So you get not really a very huge or totally comfortable for long form writing or drawing kind of pen with the tab, but at least you get one. With Microsoft Surface and with Apple, your pen is another $100 plus spend, depending on which pen you want for the Microsoft model too. There's the flat carpenter style pen and then the standard pen. So there you have a ballpark idea of the pricing, with the iPad Pro being a bit more expensive, and realistically Surface Pro is going to be pretty expensive too, because most people don't want that entry-level model, but it's okay, that entry-level model. Now, when I was talking about prices don't include connectivity with 4G or 5G, that sort of thing, you can get all of these with some form of connectivity. With the Surface Pro 8, you have to go to their business site. It's a business feature, and there you have a 4G option, no 5G option, which is a shame. So with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Plus, this is probably going to vary from country to country. I'm in the United States, so I'll speak about that. With their newly released tabs, it's kind of weird. Only some carriers supported for some of the tab models, so you have limited choice right now. I think you got one carrier, Verizon, in the United States, if you want it with 5G. At least it is 5G, yay that. And with the iPad Pro, you can get it unlocked, or pretty much it works with any carrier, and that's 5G as well. So that one would be the most versatile when it comes to WAN connectivity, as business geeks call it, or cellular, right? They all have dual band Wi-Fi, so you're good in that coverage there, and Bluetooth, of course, so those things are not a problem. For OS updates, you're going to get years of updates with all of these. Samsung has upped the ante for their support. Obviously, Microsoft with Windows, pretty much you can go for years and still put new versions of Windows on something. And Apple is really great, as we know, about supporting new OS versions, so you should at least be able to go 3 or 4 years with that. So you're safe on that count. Now, when it comes to the processor, I mean, unless you've been living under a technological rock, you know that the M1 processor from Apple is the fastest thing on the block. When it comes to competing with Ultrabooks or with other tablets, the Snapdragon processor that's in the Tab S8 Plus, much as it's a nice mobile processor, the M1 is just the fastest. Now, how much you can make use of that, desktop versus mobile operating system, again, that's coming a little bit later in this video. With all of these, you get high-resolution displays. The Tab S8 Plus is 12.4 inches, the iPad is 12.9 inches, the Microsoft is an even 13 inches. So resolution and PPI, they're pretty comparable. In terms of display quality, obviously there's going to be some differences here. Now, I'll tell you flat out right now that the mini LED display on the iPad Pro 12.9-inch wins. It looks as good as any OLED, and then better, in part because Apple is pushing high brightness on this. The standard brightness is 600 nits. It can go even higher, like 1,000 nits in HDR mode and all that sort of thing, but that's quite bright, and Apple's very good at making glossy yet low reflectance displays, which means that the glare on it isn't making it look washed out or dull or something like that. Samsung with the Tab S8 Plus, I was a little actually disappointed in that display, which isn't so different from the last generation model. The brightness isn't that high, not measuring it in HDR mode or something like that, but it's around 400 nits, a bit less. So, and it's quite reflective glass, which is why when you see our side-by-sides, why it looks more washed out. It's just reflecting a lot, and it doesn't have the brightness to overcome that. Now, if you're using this in a not very bright room, it's going to look pretty nice. It's not a horrible display. It just isn't like shock and awe mini LED level that the iPad Pro has. And then there's Surface Pro 8, which has a 13-inch IPS class display. It's very good, it's very sharp. It doesn't have the color gamut and the wild HDR mode that you're going to see on OLED mini LED displays, so it's the least beautiful. But it is actually brighter than the Samsung display at 460 nits, so there's that. And it may be glossy, but the reflectivity is fairly tolerable. Now, all of these are 120 hertz displays, and they don't have huge bezels. Now, just make note, in the Surface Pro that we're showing you here, and this is the last generation model, we don't get to keep all of our review loaners, so we don't have the Pro 8 on hand anymore. We did have it when we reviewed it. So the bezels on ours are a little bit bigger than what you're going to see on Surface Pro 8, which looks a little bit more modern. Now, when it comes to the pen experience on these, the Apple Pencil is fantastic. So is Wacom EMR, which is what Samsung uses for their tabs and for the Note family and the S22 Ultra phone. It's excellent technology, too. So what it comes down to is, honestly, between those two, it's really too close for me to call. I enjoy them both. I will say that the plus for the Samsung is it's Wacom EMR, which is a pretty standard technology. There's a variety of third-party pens on the market. So if you don't want to use the relatively small hand cramp-inducing pen that comes with it, you can get a bigger pen for it. That's nice. Where Apple does good is they give you a bigger pencil to start with, that's ergonomic, and a more rubbery tip so it skates less on the glass. I find it a little easier to draw with, for example. With writing it matters a bit less, but with drawing where you want to be precise, you get a bit more grip there. That can be ameliorated with either of these by putting on a matte screen protector if you don't mind reducing the beautiful quality of these displays. And Surface Pro pens have come a long way, and digitizers on the actual tablet have improved. That's the more important thing, more than the pen tech hasn't evolved that much. So while Surface Pro comes in behind the others, it's improved a lot. It's no longer, meh. I mean, I don't hate drawing with it anymore, and I used to really not with older models of Surface Pro. Really love it for doing artwork on it. So it's not horrible either. So if you're looking more at note-taking and you're not an artist, you're probably going to be fine with the Surface Pro as well. So how about gaming? I mean, we all got game, right? You know, I think this is pretty obvious. The Surface Pro is basically an Ultrabook in a tablet form factor. It is not meant for gaming. That doesn't mean you can't play casual games, maybe even some older games like old Skyrim or something like that, but it's not for gaming, and you're not going to be playing Battlefield on or something like that. Now, with both the iPad and with the Samsung, those being mobile operating systems, there are a lot of games out there that are purpose-built for the processors and the form factors and all that sort of thing. So you're going to have a better gaming experience and a better solid gaming selection, honestly, on those two. Now, when you talk about app selection, you know the story. iPadOS has a lot of tablet optimized apps out there, and games as well. And Android tablets just haven't seen the love from the operating system. This will change with Android 12L, and things will get better for the operating system, but Google is trying to get developers on board to do more with their tablet apps, but the app selection is going to be better on the iPad. And then lastly, with the Surface, it's Windows. It's straight out Windows 10 or 11, whichever you want to roll with there. So obviously anything you can do with any Windows machine, you can do here. It might not have the power that you need for gaming and stuff like that, but for every other kind of app, well, you know what the selection is for Microsoft Windows, right? It's good. It's good. And then there's battery life. And it used to be mobile OS tablets were way, way better than anything you would see in the world of Windows, right? But they're getting closer, in part because tablets are becoming more powerful and getting higher resolution, brighter displays, so they're evening out. Now, the Surface Pro 8 isn't bad. In a mix of productivity work, not doing gaming or anything crazy like that, or video editing, I've been getting 7 to 7.5 hours with it, which is about the same that I get doing the same kinds of tests with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8. With the iPad Pro, I've been getting an average of 8 to 9 hours, so a bit better battery life there. And it's a pretty big footprint and a pretty big battery, so that's fair. Now, I do real-world battery tests with these. I don't really believe in battery benchmarks because most of us don't spend day in, day out watching videos straight for 10 hours, which is how a lot of battery benchmarks are run, or that sort of stuff. So this is actual use testing for these in the real world. Now, if you are doing video editing on any of these, thinking of something demanding or playing some games, obviously the runtimes are going to be shorter, but I still see that delta of difference there where the iPad typically holds up. And this is also with trying to set the displays to the same brightness, by the way, just to keep it fair. And beyond battery life, the Tab S8 Plus has followed suit with the S22 line of phones, and you don't get a charger in the box. It uses a standard USB-C charger, so it shouldn't be too hard to source, but not in the box. Surface Pro 8 and the iPad Pro 12.9-inch miraculously still comes with chargers. All right, so lastly, there's that whole mobile OS versus not mobile OS discussion, and I already touched on that with the app selection and what you can do with it. At this point, I think you know if you need full Windows because you have company special built apps that you're using, whatever it is, some software that isn't available for the mobile OS platform. Much as I am pretty much a power user and I prefer using a full desktop OS, be it Mac OS or Windows, for a lot of what I do, I have used these mobile OS tablets, more so I admit the iPad because there's such a great app selection, for business trips and that sort of thing, and you really can get by. If you're just doing office kind of work, if you're doing Zoom calls, if you want to watch videos, if you want to play some games, all of that sort of stuff, then you're pretty good to go. I mean, there's even like WordPress works fine on mobile OS these days. So there is a good amount that you can do. Not to say that you're totally hobbled with it, but again, you know, printer drivers, plugging in peripherals, all that stuff, that's where the Surface Pro is still going to shine. And you probably know who you are if you need those things. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos and hit the notification bell so you know about them.